crumble. That's the nothing personal word of the day. It is Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, and we're talking about a New York crumble, which normally would be great if it's some sort of cake. You go to a little deli, maybe a farm stand. But when you're talking about August, it's no longer day one. We're now the 5th of August, and you're looking at your two baseball teams. You're wondering, is it all for naught? Are we entering the dog days, and do we have a real problem? And I don't want to cause panic because we're only at the beginning of the end. We're not even at the middle, not close to the end of the end. But there are, fewer than 50 games to go. So it's definitely not early, definitely not mid. I want to talk about the Yankees because I was watching them play last night, and they had just come from Miami, come from the sweep. They got swept in Miami. You get on a plane after a Sunday. When you get swept on the road, getting on the plane just stinks. You'd much rather be going home. You're going to Texas. It's not that close from Miami. The flying time's 2+, 2 and a hook. The game ends at about, 4:30. By the time wheels are up, it's going to be 7. You're not going to land till 10. Not the end of the world. It's Sunday night. You got the Sunday scaries. You're not going into an off day. You go into Arlington. You play the game, and here's what the players are doing on the plane. They forgot about it. They're playing poker. They're sleeping. They're eating. They're good. They have turned the page, ready to roll. You got the front office, whether cash goes on the team plane from Miami to Texas, whether it's whoever is in the traveling party. You got Booney with your coaches. And what you're doing is you're game planning. You're getting ready for the next series. Because when you get to the ballpark Monday, you have pre-series meetings, hitters meetings, pitchers meetings, and all those happen with all the information that's given to them by the analytics department. Then the GM will talk to you and Boone about what the lineup is, and then you start talking about the pitching. And you've got Max Fried going for you. Perfect. You need your number one, your ace, to end a losing streak. That's their job. They keep winning streaks going, and they end losing streaks. So Max Fried, he's got his plan with Texas, who has been playing very, very well. They added at the deadline, go into Texas, and you're thinking, all right, this is the time. This is when Aaron Boone, after the Miami game, can say, it's gut check time. All the stuff we covered yesterday and how we said how important it was to get into Texas and have Fried take you to victory. It didn't happen. Fried wasn't sharp, and the bullpen gave it up. Spoiler alert, if you don't know, let me tell you why it hurts. And as a Yankee fan, I'm not talking to you, Nick. I love you, man, but I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about, as a front office, what's bothering me about one game during 162 when I know that losses and wins are like water off a duck's back. You cannot let it upset you. What you do is you come up with the pitching order. What should be the order? Well, you got Fried that gives you 5. It was not Aaron Boone who said, we're going to go Weaver, then Doval, who closed against the Marlins and couldn't, then Bednar, then Devin Williams. That was not Aaron Boone. That was a front office get-together and said, all right, Aaron, this is the order we want to go against Texas. And you've got the scenario. If Fried goes 7, if Fried goes 5, if Fried goes 2, you've got it all in your head. It doesn't take a genius by any stretch. So, Weaver, great, clean. Doval, great, clean. Bednar, great, clean. All of a sudden, the trade acquisitions at the deadline. All right, this is how it's supposed to go. Very, very happy. Then you bring in Devin Williams. I get why a team and a manager would want to go with its player as its primary closer after acquiring several closers at the deadline. I understand what it means inside the clubhouse because you want to show loyalty and faith to the guys who have been there. Now, Williams has been there 1 year. Now, Williams has given up about more runs this year than he did in the previous multiple years before that. Coco was telling me the exact stat before he went on air, and it flew right out of me. Is it 24 runs this year, Coca, and 26 like in the last 3 combined with the Brew Crew? Is it something in that range? I can't hear him. Hello. Nothing. I don't know if Coca gets upset when I'm in Miami because he thinks maybe I'm not fully paying attention, but I am. I love being in Studio B in Miami. So Devin Williams comes in. He has not been pitching well. I think that's clear. His ERA is over 5. It doesn't matter that he started off poorly and then was great and then is bad. At this time of year, with 50 games left, you're looking at what a player's done, not how he got to today. He's blown 2 straight saves, 5 earned runs in his last 7 appearances. A lockdown closer? No. Not even close. But you went with him. And then he blows it. And then you have to bring in one of your other new acquisitions, a Rockies player, Bird, not Larry, not Big. The only thing big about what happened in last night's game is Josh Jung goes 3-run walk-off home run. That's it. Yankees lose again. They're now 5.5 games back of Toronto, but that's not the issue. They're now 2.5 games behind the Red Sox all of a sudden. They're tied for the last wild card spot with the upstart Seattle Mariners, who clearly are now going to be on the upswing, not the downswing. Texas, who they lost to. This is a double game. This series means way more than the Marlins series. They all count for 1, you'd say. Not when you're playing the team chasing you. That counts for 2. When a team is directly chasing you, when you lose, that means definitionally they win. They've made up a game automatically. The Rangers are only 1.5 behind the Yankees. Meanwhile, the selling Guardians are 2.5 behind the Yankees. What's the moral of the Yankees story? The moral is that as many times as I can yell it during the trade deadline, when everyone acts as though this is it, winner, winner, chicken dinner, there are games to be played and human beings to play those games. And I've asked you nicely, and I'll keep asking, please don't evaluate trades the day they're made. Don't evaluate deadline winners or losers, because we're 2 games in. Is that too early? 3 games in? 4 games in? Well, we're August 5th. What do you want to wait for? September 1? Do you want to wait for the end of the year? Do you want to wait to see what happens to the prospects traded? Do you want to talk about the fact that Augustin Ramirez of the Marlins is a Rookie of the Year candidate who's raking? You don't remember that name, Yankee fans? The moral is you got to keep calm as a front office and as a fan. But at some point, your team is what your team is. And when you look at the Yankees, do you see a team that is built for October? How about a team that will even get to October? Exactly as I foretold you, the Yankees are in jeopardy of missing the playoffs completely. Forget catching the Blue Jays or Red Sox to win the division. And you must take great pleasure in that, Coca, and any Mets fan out there. Except the problem is the Mets, that while they're 63-50, which sounds like 60-53, which is what the Yankees are, but it's not. It's 3 games better. Mets are right in there. You're thinking to yourself, only 1.5 games behind the Phillies to win the National League East. That sounds great. You're not worried at all about the postseason because, hey, you're 4 games up on the Reds, so you are in great position to make the playoffs, 95%. I don't even know what the stats are, Coca. My guess is the Mets are in the 90s to make the playoffs. You know that you've got a team that you put together, and we were so complimentary, whether it's Lindor or Soto. You've got Pete Alonso back, who's about to break Darryl Strawberry's franchise record for home runs. A Mets Met, like a record-breaking Met. And you feel to yourself, we're exactly where we're supposed to be, aren't we? Well, today is August 5th, and since June 13th, the Mets are 18-26. That great starting staff that carried them when the Mets had the best ERA in baseball, their ERA since June 13th is over 5. What are you doing if you're David Stearns? if you're Carlos Mendoza. If you're Stevie Cohn, you know you can't do anything with your roster, deadline's done. Not worth it to have a team meeting. Believe me, this isn't the time because you don't have the lockdown ace to have the team meeting the night before when your ace goes. So here's what you do. This is a funny one. Because when I was around, this was not even a possibility. Either you have a starting pitcher or you don't start the guy, you skip his turn, you make him the long guy, you put him maybe in the 6th or 7th inning in relief, but you do not demote him from starter and replace him with an opener. That just wasn't a thing. Now, we could call that progress, we could call that statistics, we could call that analytics, whatever you want to call it. I would just call it straight panic. That's all it is. You see, Montas, one of your guys. Remember, he signed. Everything's great. You can't be. You got Manea. You got Montas. You signed Holmes. You made him a starter. Everything's fine. Well, they're not going to give him the ball. When they're in Milwaukee playing against the best team in baseball, they've announced that he won't be the starter anymore. At 2 years, $34 million before the season started, they've decided in August, Ganug, we've seen enough. Now, what did they say? They said he will pitch Saturday, but he won't be the starter. Let me get this straight. The way to solve the Mets' issues is an opener and then let him come in the 2nd or the 3rd inning, let him pitch the middle innings. What's the mentality there? Is it, oh, this is way less pressure. He doesn't have to warm up in the bullpen alone before the game and stand there during the anthem. He can get up and slowly stretch in the 1st inning and get ready to come in. Or he doesn't have to face Yelich in the 1st inning. Is that the theory? I'm not trying to yuck on any opener yums by any stretch. What I am trying to maybe articulate is this copycat version. Guilty. Infield positioning, the shift, a late adapter to the shift, no doubt. One of the last adapters to the shift, no doubt. I'm not trying to say that I know more, that openers aren't the way to go. What I am saying is I've been in a clubhouse, and when you speak to your pitcher and you say, listen, thank you. We appreciate you taking the ball every 5 days. However, what we're going to do is we're going to put in dopey, sneezy, or grumpy. Then you're going to get your chance at Miller Park. I'm not a fan. In conclusion, New Yorkers, all 19% of you, although that was a few months ago, maybe it's 16% by now. New Yorkers all over. Buffalo, I see you. Yes, you're a New Yorker. Your Yankees and Mets have an opportunity to get back to the LCS again. They have an opportunity to one of them win the pennant the way the Yankees did. However, were you to be a betting person, strangely, DraftKings would say, hey, the Yankees are the 2nd best odds to win the pennant in the American League behind the Tigers. And I would say, it's a pretty strong American League, which we thought wasn't, and the National League stronger, is it? So sit back, enjoy the 50 games, and if you both crumble again, there'll be another segment. If you don't, maybe. I love making predictions. You know that from Wait to See. You know that from everything that we do that has accountability on davidsamsonpodcast.com. Today is August 5th, and I totally forgot something. Coke and I were doing the meetings for this show, and we looked at each other, metaphorically speaking, and said, wait a minute, we're past August 1st. We got so caught up in the trade deadline, so caught up in my returning to a Marlins game, whatever, that we forgot to go back to what we've been doing all year, which is we talk about the month before and predict what will happen the month ahead, and then we revisit it. You didn't think that I would not take a victory lap for all my great July predictions, did you? You think I wouldn't take a victory lap for Cal Raleigh homering in the All-Star game? You're darn right. I predicted that before July started, that Cal Raleigh would homer in the All-Star game. Nailed it. I predicted that Ronald Acuna would win the home run derby. I said he'd be the first player to win the home run derby at home since Todd Frazier. Nailed it. I said that Shohei Ohtani would pitch 4 innings in a start in July as they build him up. None of this 1, 2, 3 inning stuff. Nailed it. 3 out of 3. Every single prediction. Completely wrong. Every last one of them. Cal Raleigh homering in the All-Star game. Acuna didn't even do the derby. He backed out after my July prediction and had his teammate Matt Olson do it, who also didn't win, though I would have taken the transitive property of winning. A uniform's a uniform. Ohtani getting ready to pitch into the 4th inning. Couldn't do it. Got pulled with cramps. Whatever kind of cramps he had, they were not the bad kind of cramps. They were, I guess, the monthly kind of cramps because he's only gotten them one time in the month. The day he was supposed to go 4 innings. Wrong. One prediction left, and that one I got. No kidding. The Red Sox and the Yankees would make acquisitions in the month of July, and boy, did I know about Dustin May and Steven Matz. I knew it. I had Craig Breslow and John Henry dead to center. Now, the Yankees, of course, were absolute terrors at the deadline, bringing in all those closers, fortifying that bullpen. That was going to make it a 5-inning game, one of the great bullpens ever. Oi. But the prediction's right. Now, let's go to August predictions, which I also will revisit on September 1st, though it likely will be September 2nd because September 1st is Labor Day. So there'll be no show. Spoiler alert. So September 2nd. Now, I already know of some stuff that I'll have to discuss that day, Coca. However, from Labor Day weekend coming up. But I assure you that we will get to this. August predictions. Now, I did this prior. Keep in mind, I did this July 31st. And I'd love to change some of these, but I've got proof. You've got proof, Coca. I can't do that to the audience. These were my predictions. The Mets will lead the Phillies by more than a half a game on September 1st, 2025. Uh-oh. Remember, going into August, it was this back and forth every single day. Mets, Phillies, Mets, Phillies, Mets, Phillies. Well, I think the Mets are a better team. So the Mets will lead the Phillies by more than a half a game on September 1st. Let's go to the NL West with that great Dodgers-Padres fight. I don't put the Giants in there. I don't put the Diamondbacks in there. I was going to talk to you about the NL West. It was August 1st. It would have been great. And I had this prediction, which we'll mark, and it's fine, but I don't know. I had the Dodgers will lead the NL West by fewer than 3 games. Well, they do lead the Padres still by 3 games. But I predict that that division will get even tighter by the end of August, so we'll make that an official prediction because I did. Then you remember Suarez got traded to the Mariners, so I have a prediction about the Mariners. Suarez will hit fewer home runs than Cal Raleigh in August. I don't know where I am there. I think they both may be at 0 so far. But Suarez will hit fewer home runs than Cal Raleigh. And my fourth and final prediction for August is my friend Giancarlo Stanton will hit more home runs than Shohei Ohtani. Stanton is healthy. Stanton is rolling. He had hit one on the 31st, and that's when I did the predictions. Side note, he's hit 2 since then. So he's already got 2 homers in the last 4 games. But Coca is my witness. That was the 4th prediction. So the teams we've mentioned so far in this show, Yankees, Mets, Mariners, Phillies, Braves. We mentioned a tiny bit of the Marlins because, yes, why not? Smoke them if you got them. We don't talk much about low payroll teams unless their GM says something, their owner says something, or something happens with a player that is nothing personal worthy. It got me thinking about something when I was watching the Bristol Speedway game and all the rainy day activity they had when the game was suspended and then it was played again, and it was the Reds against the Braves. And I was looking at Elly De La Cruz, and I realized that Elly De La Cruz and Ronald Acuna, They are two superstars. And when MLB chooses the Braves and the Reds, it's done purposefully. A, because it worked from a travel standpoint. You're not going to bring two West Coast teams all the way east to play for one game to go all the way back west. When you look at the special games, is it not a surprise to you that when the game's in the Field of Dreams, you're going to try to get Central teams in there? When the game is in the East, you try to get Eastern teams. Obvious. But when you choose the Braves and Reds, coincidentally, the two starting pitchers had Tennessee roots. Amazing how that worked. Now, Spencer Strider got completely blown out by the rain delay, so he didn't even pitch, but he was scheduled to pitch. A native. Everything baseball does, correctly so, as it should, is with thought. They're pondering what is the best way to get the most people to watch what we're doing. What's the hook? We've got the chance of the biggest crowd ever. That's a hook. The cool factor of a baseball stadium inside a racetrack, that's a hook. What about on the team, the 26 guys? Well, you look at Atlanta, you know what hook. It's a national team, always has been, and you got Acuna. Sort of, until he gets hurt. On the Red side, what do you got? Because Cincinnati has no national attention. They were talked about when Pete Rose died. You talk about them every Hall of Fame with the big red machine, Tony Perez, Dave Concepcion. You got it all. George Foster, Johnny Bench. But what about now? Now the Cincinnati Reds have one of the best players in baseball in Elly De La Cruz. The Cincinnati Reds and the Pittsburgh Pirates, you could argue, have the best position player and the best pitcher in terms of young prospect and currently performing big leaguer. So Fox, during the course of their rainy day activities, decided to talk about Elly De La Cruz. And the discussion fascinated me. Keep in mind who's having the discussion. The people on the Fox broadcast: Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, David Ortiz. So you're not talking about schleppers. Now, we know about A-Rod and Jeter. It doesn't matter. When the camera's on, you got to listen to what they're talking about. And when the producers tell them that this is a topic, when they react to Elly De La Cruz and him being on the Reds, it's worth paying attention to. David Ortiz said, this is a kid that is so much fun to watch. You don't see his name out there so much because he's not playing in a big market. If he's a guy that played for the Yankees, Dodgers, even the Red Sox, he'd be on TV every day. And the most important thing, he's a great kid. I've had this argument with John Skipper so many times that I'm blue in the face. I'm not going to have it anymore. We had superstars on the Marlins. Absolute superstars. Why do you only want to show Yankees and Red Sox? There are such great players on other teams. And he told me the same thing then as he tells you now on the sporting class with Pablo Torre. I don't care who's on your team. You could have 25 Babe Ruths and it wouldn't make a difference. No one cares about your team. Very harsh. Very harsh. But is he wrong? Is he wrong? And if you look at numbers, it would indicate that he's not. That it turns out, for all of the complaining that people do about what happens to the names on the back of the jersey, it turns out what matters most is what's on the front of the jersey. My dream come true. Don't look at the players, look at the team, look at the results. What I forgot to think about is look at the city, look at the demographics, look at the ratings. As much as ratings don't matter, and we will have a topic about this later in this show when we talk about the NFL Hall of Fame game. As much as ratings don't matter for rights fees, ratings matter for optics. When you are going out and selling to advertisers and you are a network, you want advertisers to get the most eyeballs possible, but you want there to be buzz. You want there to be excitement, and that's city-related, not player-related. Has Paul Skeens on the Pirates led to national games? Has Bobby Witt on the Royals led to national games? has Jose Ramirez on the Guardians led to national games? Think about it. These are superstars. And no one knows. The biggest problem they have in baseball and what they try to fix every single day as they go through marketing and sales and advertising, promotion, PR. How do we get people to understand that stars are worth watching even on teams that aren't? If you can have a player like Elly De La Cruz on the Cincinnati Reds, who, by the way, are in a playoff race, why are they not getting any attention? And you wonder why baseball wants to go to a national model? Because by making it regional, which is what it's always been, when you talk about what led to the disparity, the economic disparity, the payroll disparity, the competitive disparity, it was all about TV money. The gate money, you're right. The Dodgers make way more gate than the Marlins, but that incremental difference pales in comparison to the TV revenue for the Dodgers versus the TV revenue for the Marlins. You fix all that. You make everything national, where you can watch the Reds no matter what, no matter where you are, where the Reds are on TV, and what you do is a national model that has with it equality. Because every team in baseball has a player that somebody can attach to. And we're not going to get into the reality that Elly De La Cruz, how could he be a superstar no matter where he is? He doesn't speak English. We're not going to get into the argument that you have to speak English to be a superstar in baseball, and there's no other league where the superstars don't speak English. Well, there's plenty of other leagues, NBA, where there's foreign-born players whose English is not perfect, and believe me, it all works. Now, Elly De La Cruz did an interview during All-Star Week in Atlanta. He is learning English. He's able to speak, but it is broken English, but it's going to get better and better and better. But are we as a society ready to embrace a Cincinnati Red player with broken English in the atmosphere in which we live? A guy who hails from the Dominican Republic, a guy who has been an all-star every year he's been in the league. That's how good he is, and it's not a commissioner's pick to round out a team to give your team the representative. That's not why Elly De La Cruz is an all-star. He's an all-star because he's already a superstar. Derek Jeter said, "This is what I hope. I hope for the baseball world, the Cincinnati Reds, whether it's this year or next year, they need to get into the postseason so the rest of the baseball world can watch, because he's fun to watch." Derek, here's the problem with your point of view. Cincinnati Reds make the playoffs. Exciting. They can be gone in 48 hours. I dare anyone watching this show on Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel, get in the chat with Matthew Coca, who's doing 20 things at once. We're live right now. If you're watching us on the DraftKings Network, not live. It's an hour past where we are now. So it's 8:29 a.m. if you're on DraftKings Network. If you're with me right now, it's 7:29. Please, get in the chat. Name for me every playoff wild card round series last year. Raise your hand if you can do it. As a matter of fact, I can't even, because you could all Google it. You all have a computer in your hands. I was going to offer merch at davidsamsonpodcast.com to anyone who can name all the playoff matchups from round one. But with GTS, I'm not giving away something. Go to David Samson Podcast. Get one for yourself. The problem is that getting into the postseason, it's no longer good enough. Elly De La Cruz is entering the final season next year of pre-arbitration. He's going to be a Cincinnati Red for years to come. It is incumbent upon baseball to figure out a way how to get the broadcasters, how to get the fans to understand that love the front of the jersey. Pay attention to the back and enjoy it when you can. Whether it's a Yankee player who doesn't stay a Yankee forever, it happens. Whether it is a Reds player who doesn't stay a Red forever, it happens. Where we need to be is the present. We spend so much of our life telling stories about the past and making plans for the future that half the time we completely ignore now. Have you ever done that? Been at dinner talking about what breakfast will be, or been at lunch and talking about what dinner will be, or been on a trip and talking about what the next trip will be, or been in a conversation and instead of being here, now, you're talking about, hey, when are we going to see each other again? Where are you? When are we going to talk again? It completely ruins everything. Enjoy Elly De La Cruz as a Red today because it's super fun to watch. How about the review, Coca? It's time for the review. No matter where I am, no matter how many hours in front of the camera and microphone I'm doing, which this week is 6 in a row, doing the Le Batard show right after this show completes. Yes, it is quite something. Very honored to sit in that chair while Dan gets a little breather. Still watching a movie, no matter what. Please get your pen, get your paper. This is not a recommendation for The Life of Chuck. This is a must-see. The Life of Chuck is a movie starring Tom Hiddleston, Jacob Tremblay, Mia Sara, Mark Hamill, the Academy Award-winning actor from 12 Years a Slave, as well as in this. You may know him from Love Actually. This is one of the most interesting movies I've ever seen. This is a movie that will likely enter my top 100, and I don't say that often. The Life of Chuck is a movie about death, about the end of the world, about the changes that happen in your mind as your body and mind both give out. You see, Tom Hiddleston is a middle-aged man, and you don't exactly understand what's happening when the movie starts because it's done in 3 acts that go backwards. So you start at the end and end at the start. Not really Memento style, but it's backwards, all right. Answers to questions that you have throughout the first part of the movie are given in the second and third part in a way that is so stunning and so perfect. And it's not a whodunit. It's not a mystery that unfolds Scooby-Doo style. This is a piece that's meant to make you think about the choices you make, about the life you live, about what's important, love, money, both, satisfaction. How do you get any? What does it mean? The Life of Chuck, which would just be a simple, ordinary life, is made in this movie extraordinary, not because he has superpowers. This is not a Marvel movie, and I'm not Scorsese yucking on Marvel. This is a movie that makes you feel. And as you know, that is the number one criteria for me. I want to feel. This movie had every feel possible. Do you know that Jacob Tremblay, you saw him in Room, we just reviewed him in another movie, Sovereign. He's now in this movie playing the same part. He plays Chuck. Different age. Tom Hiddleston. Chuck. Different age. There are several actors who play Chuck, and it doesn't seem strange at all. It's perfect. Chuck's grandparents are played by Mia Sara and Mark Hamill. Mia Sara, Ferris Bueller's girlfriend from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Mark Hamill, you are not my father. Oh, that may be Darth Vader. I am your father. That's Darth Vader. Mark Hamill, oh, hey, Dad. Wow, that's quite a saber you have, which, side note, is up for sale. I'm moving on. I hope that I have properly explained to you that The Life of Chuck is the movie to watch. And I'm not going to spoil anything at all. It's go in dark, don't read the review, and just enjoy it. Today, after Le Batard's show, I have not seen the new Captain America Brave New World with Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford. I'm going to watch it. I'll review it tomorrow. Tomorrow is also the day we do So You Want to Talk to Samson. Yes. Pull that up for YouTube, Coca, and for the DraftKings Network. It is a graphic with a phone number that if you're listening to this, do you know the phone number? Say it with me from your head. You can memorize lines. 631-377-4869. That number again, 631-DPS-4869. You want to talk to me? Tomorrow, second hour. It's all you. We're going to play voicemails that you leave. Don't leave a 3-minuter. Don't you do it. It's an automatic move past it. We're not editing your voicemails. 631-377-4869. I've tried out for some plays in my life. I may do it again. You never know. Never say never. When you try out for a play, there's in the old days in high school at Horace Mann with Josh Molina. Yes, look at me, Davey. You put it on a bulletin board. It gets posted all the way back to some of the great directors, Nicky Felton. Look, Homeward Angel. My sister Eileen. So great. What's better than high school theater? Well, college theater. What's better than that? Theater, where you get paid and you're off Broadway, on Broadway, anything. Local theater. It's just amazing to be on stage. Taking your podcast on a tour, that's on stage. You put it on a bulletin board and you post it with a thumbtack and you see who got what role. It is the most intense thing when you get cast in a play, when you make a team. The Cleveland Browns posted their depth chart yesterday, and I got a bit of a smile. Shedeur Sanders is 4th in the depth chart for quarterbacks for the Cleveland Browns. Is that good? Is it good? Is it good when the day they post the depth chart, they also sign another quarterback? Is that good? When you've got a depth chart of 5 quarterbacks and you've got 6 of them signed on your roster because we forget about Deshaun Watson, because thank God we can forget about Deshaun Watson. Finally. I don't wish. Yeah, well, I'm glad he's not playing. Joe Flacco, numero uno. All right, am I 2? How do I feel about being 2? Kenny Pickett, oy, criminy. How about, now I'm next. Nope, Dylan Gabriel. All right, listen, I'm going to call my dad. This is crazy. Where am I? What? I have to, move my neck. I can't even see that low. I'm 4 on the depth chart coming out of camp in the middle of trying to get reps with the first team, and all the media keeps asking me, have you ever seen more media attention to a quarterback who's number 4 on the depth chart? Are you in any way reminded of why we said on draft day, why would anyone draft Shedeur Sanders when the juice is not going to be worth the media squeeze? When Deion Sanders is going to be there poking you. Hey, my son is this, my son's that. What you doing? Get him out there. Now, Deion Sanders has had some health issues, and thank God he's on the road to recovery. Don't wish ill on anyone. But Shedeur Sanders finally had to meet the media yesterday as he's being named the 4th-string quarterback and say, guys, I can't have my dad visit me at camp as much as I'd love to. My dad coming to training camp becomes a nightmare. It's a total circus sideshow. And what have I done to deserve getting a visit by my dad? And then I felt terribly as a dad and as a son. I think being 4th on the depth chart, why aren't we congratulating him? That's sort of cool. Hey, if one of my kids were 4th on the depth chart for a football team, or in a movie or a play or in a bank or in a hospital, whatever they're doing, you're on the list, you're doing it, I'm proud of you. I want to show my pride. Now I can't go to a prison, knock on the door and say, hey, that's my boy, taking care of prisoners. I can't go to a movie set and say, hey, that's my boy, and walk in there. I can't go to a bank and say, that's my boy. Way to go with those spreadsheets, man. Look at that yield curve. I can't do that. Now, if I had a boy who were 4th-string in a football team, I'm not saying I'd be happier, because I wouldn't. I love what my kids do. However, and I'm not saying you know what they do or don't know what they do. I'm just saying they're not 4th-string on a football team. I can't go. But if they're on a football team, I can just go. How sad it is that he doesn't want his father there because he's such a distraction. I can't relate to that at all. Let me prove myself. Let me do something. Except Shedeur Sanders is not going to have a chance to do anything. He's not going to be the 1st-string quarterback. whether he's got hamstring soreness, shoulder soreness, whether Flacco is hurt, not hurt. Shedeur just wants to focus on being as good as he told us all he was, making every team sorry they didn't draft him, which they didn't. I just found it to be interesting. And for whatever reason, I don't recall a head coach having to deal with a quarterback fourth on the depth chart in the way Kevin Stefanski has to. And you want to know again, why? Why? Not worth it. Shedeur is good. He was sore in his arm and throwing shoulder. He's getting treatment. He should be fine. I don't recall a medical update given by a coach on a four-string quarterback. Shedeur Sanders has all the attention in the world for all the wrong reasons. Here's what should happen. Leave him be. There are so many great stories about performing players on first teams around football. You're looking for content. Why? Well, we're about to hear why. You're looking for content constantly in football. So we're going to talk four-string quarterback? I'm not spending another 10 seconds on it. I do, however, want to talk some NFL. Not because I'm checking the box, but it's a hell of a box to check. I'm talking about because I saw something yesterday that struck my fancy. Did you know, I don't know when we covered this, Coca, but we did. The Chargers and the Lions played a preseason game, the Hall of Fame game. Well, they drew just under 7 million people watching that game. A July 31st preseason game. First one. A blowout. Who cares? None of the starters played. Couldn't even name the people who played. 6.9 million people watched. And we told you we'd talk about this. I just want to put it in perspective for you, please. Since 2017, and we've had the great, great dynasties in Tampa, Florida in the NHL, Panthers and Lightning. NHL hockey is to die for. Do you know that only 2 Stanley Cup final games, 2 games in the Stanley Cup finals have ever gotten more eyeballs than an NFL preseason game? I can't. I just can't. Do you know that MLB had a dream league championship series last year? And I mean a dream. It brings a tear to the eye of baseball fans. You had the Yankees in the ALCS against the Cleveland Guardians. Oh, you're saying small market, poo-poo, on a cable channel, not on Fox, not on over the air. The Yankees, Guardians, and ALCS, 5.35 million people. That was the average, compared to 6.9 for this one playoff game. It made me a little sick to my stomach, but I knew for sure that Mets-Dodgers outdrew them. Mets-Dodgers, that's New York, that's L.A., that's the National League Championship Series to win the pennant. That's got to draw more than an NFL preseason game. How can it not? 5.6 on Fox. How do you look at that and be any sport other than football and not have total despondency? How can you be Adam Silver and know that that game of just under 7 million for a preseason game, that game is drawing more than every NBA playoff game except for 2 of them? Thank God the NBA Finals and World Series draw more. But every great playoff game in the NBA, 2 of them outdrew this NFL preseason game. Streaming numbers would make Don Garber cry. They're so good. 691,000 people watched on Peacock and NBC Digital. The biggest preseason audience ever. What does it all mean? Why am I talking about it? Is it jealousy, your standard, average, ordinary jealousy? It's not that. It's the epiphany that you have when you've been beaten into submission and you have no choice but to tap out. It's the realization that I will never give up the fight of trying to attain status as the NFL does. The example for me is I will never stop trying to be Le Batard or McAfee. I've only been doing it 5 years. I'm not giving up. Do I think it's realistic in the next 5 years that I'll have the audience as Le Batard or McAfee? I don't know. But I'll tell you this. I'm going to go down swinging. Definitely not looking. Should MLB, the NHL, and the NBA be looking at the NFL and saying, we can't? What kind of attitude would that be? MLB, NBA, they spend millions of dollars thinking about how they can make up the ground to the NFL. Millions of dollars. They spend time thinking about PR. They spend time thinking about advertising campaigns. They spend time raising awareness of games that are happening, dealing with gambling companies. Here's the part that makes it tough, is that the NFL has way more gambling than the other leagues even combined. And we're not even talking about prop bets. The NFL has fantasy in numbers that are way greater than the NBA, NHL, MLB combined. There's no comparison. How do you get people to watch a game that is of zero consequence? And I mean zero. The preseason Hall of Fame game, it's not even that. There is not one preseason game in the NFL that matters. It's like a spring training game. It actually doesn't matter. You're trying to get through it healthy. And in the NFL, you're not even playing your best players at all. At least in Major League Baseball, you get to see an at-bat. You get to see your good pitcher, your favorite pitcher, go 1 inning and then build up to 2 innings. It doesn't even work that way. There are quarterbacks who are not fourth on the depth chart, Shedeur Sanders, who are going to not play preseason football at all. And the audience, the betting audience, the viewing audience, they don't care because they're starving for it in a way that they can't even understand. It's like they've got the DTs from not having football since the Super Bowl as they anticipate getting people with pads on hitting each other like they care. But we're still going to spend the money. We're still going to try. Congratulations, NFL. We're coming for you. It just may take a minute. Nothing personal pick of the day. Speaking of betting, nothing personal pick of the day. Thank you to my friends at DraftKings. Yeah, it was Corbin Day. How did we do? It was great. Corbin was terrible. And then you realize, oh, God, you got to be leading after 9 innings. All right, we were tied. How about after 10 innings? Yes, we've got this. Oh, crikeys. We just gave up a walk-off. The Rangers, they beat the Yankees. We lost. We are now 103-98. Do you know what I love about me? I mean, there's many things. I have great self-confidence. I like myself. I like hanging out with myself. It's all good. I am not giving up on figuring out Yu Darvish. I'm not doing it. Go with Yu Darvish, and he stinks. Go against Yu Darvish. He cannot be any better. Fine. 1 time, that's on me. You lose 2 times with the Padres, that's on me. You lose 3 times with the Padres, that's on you. We're going the Diamondbacks over the Padres. Do you know why? Because the Diamondbacks are plus money. Yeah, they traded away almost everybody. They did. They sold. Is Darvish going to be good twice in a row? Or is it going to be bad, good, bad? I think it'll be that, which is why I'll take the plus money. Because we could use it, having lost Corbin Day. Outrageous. Guess what? It's Tuesday. We're done for now, but coming right back with Jonathan Zaslow. It's a guest. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Hour 2. Nothing personal on this Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. You know what Tuesdays mean? Since the beginning of June, we've got a guest to start the second hour. And as I'm sitting here in Le Batard's studio in Miami, why wouldn't I want to get 25 minutes of Zaz's time? And he's here anyway.
Hello.
Hello, Jonathan.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
My debut appearance on Nothing Personal.
This is it. I'm very thankful. So now, if you don't know him, you should. Why? Because you hear him on ESPN Radio. He has his own show called Zaslow Show 2.0. And you also hear him on the Le Batard Show. What used to be infrequent has now become way more frequent.
I love being here. I like coming in studio. We're doing 3-4 days a week now, it seems. Like 3 days this week. I love being part of the team. It's really fun.
So you know that it's a national show.
Yeah.
So we can't just talk about all of the homers
right, of course.
that are you.
Yeah.
You're wearing a Panther shirt.
Oh, I got to represent. Come on, You
have a Heat hat.
I got used to this, actually, when I started doing ESPN radio like a couple years ago. I was wondering, because I had done local radio for, at that point, it was all 18 years of my career. And it's like, I don't know, am I going to be able to get into doing national stuff every day? But no, the best part about doing the national stuff is there's so much more to talk about. So it was an adjustment, but I'm good with it. All good.
So let's talk about the Dolphins.
Yeah, let's go.
I really wanted to find any subject other than Miami sports, and I talked in first hour, we talked a bit about the NFL, the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
But I find it hard not to talk about the Dolphins because I don't like them, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay. You've always not liked them.
Well, I grew up in New York as a Giants fan. Mm-hmm. And then when I moved to Miami to work with the Marlins, this was a Dolphins town.
Yeah.
They were our competition.
Yeah.
And they'd win, except they weren't winning.
Yeah.
My son was born in Miami in 2003. Has not seen a Dolphins playoff victory in his life. And he's now in New York working in an investment bank.
When you got here with the Marlins, the Dolphins were at the very end of being the kind of team where I would think that they're really good. They could do something this year. 02-ish, 03, when you got here, 02, that was the end of them being a good team.
And so what I want to talk about is that we thought that the Dolphins had the thing that Marlins fans all wanted, an owner who would spend money. Mm-hmm. And the Dolphins have signed. It's been amazing, sort of the red carpet of celebrities and big-time contracts that come through Miami. And then they brought in this coach who I didn't know much about him. And Mike McDaniel becomes this sort of legend around here for his quirkiness.
It was so exciting when he first got here.
Wasn't it amazing?
Very exciting.
And now my view is he's the coach on the hottest of the hot seats as we start the season nationally. Is that your position as a national media personality?
I'd have to think about it if he's on the hottest seat, but off the top of my head, I would say definitely top 3 hottest seats, for sure. Not the kind of situation where, unless they don't win any games where you can get fired in the middle of the season, that's not going to happen. And based on Stephen Ross's history, he's loyal to a fault, I guess you could say. It's not even a guarantee they would fire him after the season if they missed the playoffs, but it'll definitely not be mid-season. But I think he's absolutely on a very hot seat. Last year was, they made the playoffs the first 2 years, didn't win a playoff game, so it's okay, year 3, now we got to take the next step. They took a big step backwards, and to make it even worse, 2 things happened there, where the league kind of figured him out, or at least figured out the Dolphins' offense. And I hate doing the whole, the coach, he doesn't make adjustments. We're not in the room. We don't know what adjustments are being made. I'm sitting on my couch with a bag of Cheetos. I don't know what's going on in that locker room. So I hate the lazy coach doesn't make adjustments. That's why going into this year, hey, you've had a whole offseason. There better be some adjustments for what the defenses were doing against you last year. That needs to be fixed now, your offense. But the second part is, it really seemed like the players didn't respect him. Okay.
How do you know that from the Cheeto couch?
Well, the late to practice reports. One of the reasons that they got rid of Jalen Ramsey, the attitude and that kind of deal, because when you hear about the culture in the locker room, apparently Jalen Ramsey was the very top of that list, and it was one of the reasons that they had to get rid of him here. But even Tyreek Hill, who's supposed to be on the good behavior now, because hey, he gave the whole mea culpa, I got to be a better leader and whatnot. I mean, he got up in front of the media the other day talking about we shouldn't be using this running back here. We should be using this running back here. Third down.
It made me crazy.
Like, what are you doing, man?
So when Tyreek Hill did what he did, and he was sort of talking about, hey, I sort of understand the offense, and
I finally understand the offense.
I would have released him. And I'm a little different in that I can't stand when players are that bad in front of the media. And it sounds crazy because I would choose players who are good. If they have a bad moment or do a bad thing, I'm going to choose for that player to stay. If it's a mediocre player or a player who's past his prime and they do something, I'm ready to designate or trade.
Unfortunately,
Tyreek Hill is not this guy anymore.
Unfortunately, though, the big difference, see, where you come from with baseball and in football, if you want to get rid of a guy in baseball, okay, the contract is what it is. But with football, the money is it's all monopoly money, and they can get rid of Tyreek Hill, and you still have X amount of dollars counting against the cap, even though he's not on the team anymore in future years. Like, it's so punitive.
But we had that in baseball because it's a guaranteed contract. So, I was the king of bad contracts where you're overpaying somebody whose lack of performance means you've got to designate them or move on. How do you look at Tyreek Hill in that press conference? How do you even look at Mike McDaniel? And how do you say this is best for our team?
I think they would have gotten rid of him at the end of last season when he quit during the last game, like literally quit during the last game, and then said what he said after the game, I got to get out of here. I think they would have gotten rid of him if not for the dead cap being so punitive the next couple of years. I think if you pump them with the truth serum right now, they would have wanted to get rid of him. Yes.
So you have to know when you're running a team or building a team that when you have a player in that position or a coach in that position where we're saying with yellow Cheeto fingers that he's lost the clubhouse, that is the final. When you've lost the locker room or the clubhouse, you cannot have that as your coach. And there's no dead money in coaches. And Stephen Ross has never shown an indication that he's not willing to spend money. Mm-hmm. And so when you say that he hasn't, there's a lot of people who don't do in-season firings philosophically until they do. Mm-hmm. And when I'm looking at the Dolphins, I look at Stephen Ross's age. This guy is no spring chicken.
Right.
And he's won, as an owner, nothing. Wait, have they been to an AFC championship?
No, they haven't.
I don't think they've won a
playoff game.
I take it back.
2000.
They haven't been in the divisional round.
Yeah, 2000. Since they've won one division title. That came in Sperano's first year. So what are we talking? 2008, I think it was. And they won a playoff game in 2000. So it's been 25 years. I mean, your son, he's never witnessed a Dolphin playoff win. That's a very long time.
And he's now gone from Florida.
Very long time.
To New York.
Yeah.
His whole childhood.
I think Stephen Ross, okay, he's of an age where he's not, I don't want to try to kill him off, but, he's 80 some odd years old. I almost think it works the opposite way, where he doesn't want to fire the coach because he doesn't want it to start over because of his age. I think it works the other way.
Do you think it's like marriage? Like when you're in your 80s, who gets divorced in their 80s? Because, hey, we are ready. This is it.
It's like, what am I doing? I'm not going to find anyone else. Yeah, I might as well stick with this person. I think there's a little bit of that. No. I think you're right. I think there's a little bit of that going on. It's the best I could do. Clock's ticking.
I'm not happy.
Yeah.
At all.
But I might be less happy if I'm not with this person anymore. I think you could be right. You could be right.
I am not willing to be right on that. That's the worst plan ever.
Don't put yourself in that situation.
Well, but you are. He is.
Yes.
Next thing, I do want to cover this with you
mm-hmm.
because I don't get accused. I don't know about in your show, but when you're going through your rundown and you're going through different topics you want to talk about, the WNBA, it's a big topic. It's worthy. I never used to.
I've been talking about it recently. Obviously, I never used to talk about it.
So that's big. Now, I would say Caitlin Clark was the reason
mm-hmm.
when it started. Before that, I really wasn't talking about WNBA.
No.
And so there's a big story that we're going to have to talk about, maybe in Dan's show, but certainly in Nothing Personal right now, about the Connecticut Sun.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw this, but the fact that there's a chance that they could be sold and moved to Boston.
Yeah.
And the argument is, well, wait a minute. Why don't we keep the team in Connecticut? And it should remind you of all the things that happen in Florida with teams relocating and in baseball, trying to figure out basketball, all the teams moving. The WNBA is becoming a real league because we're talking about relocation. And that is how you know you've made it into the league when, I see a better scenario for me.
I think the most surprising part about that report is, they don't have a team in Boston. Like, isn't that, like, wouldn't you figured Boston is one of the cities there would be a WNBA team.
But I think there's no teams in a lot of the NBA.
Right, I mean, it's only like 15 or 16 teams,
and that's,
so
they're
yes,
trying
of
to
course.
get to way more.
But you would figure Boston, now probably also doesn't help that Connecticut is like the worst team in the league, so that's not going to help right now. You want to at least move them to a place where fans can fill up the building, you can make a little bit more money, I would assume.
What about Hartford?
I mean, Hartford lost a hockey team 1,000 years ago. Hartford's a place that has big business to support a professional team. I don't know.
They actually do have some corporate support in Hartford. And the Mohegan Sun always made me laugh as a possibility. They're the owners. They're the place. That's the play. That's the casino.
Mm-hmm.
That's where some great bands go. Have you seen Pearl Jam at Mohegan Sun?
No.
I've
never
know if they played there.
I don't think I've ever even been to Connecticut.
As a state?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I was in Jersey over the weekend because I went to WWE SummerSlam. It's the first time I was ever in Jersey. I've been in New York a lot. Never been to Jersey except for this weekend.
Do you keep track of the states you've been
to?
to?
I love doing that.
What number state?
24.
So you have a ways to go, but you're young.
Yeah.
Are you 30 yet?
Yeah, I'm at 30. That's very nice of you to say. I'm in my 40s. That's very nice of you to say.
Okay, so you're not stuck with anyone. This is not where you're saying.
No, I'm still doing things that are of my choice. Yeah, it is my choice to be with the woman that I'm with, and my boys as well. It is a choice.
And to go to Jersey.
Yes, and to go to. Oh yeah. Like we. My wife's good about that kind of stuff. She's able to go on trips if she wants. Like she just went on a trip with our older son. I went on a trip this weekend with my younger son, and we went to wrestling. But I love keeping track of how many. I haven't met anyone else who loves keeping track of states they've been. That's so great. I love, like, this. At the end of this month, I start doing college football tailgate for ESPN Radio. It's a show I host every week. We travel the country. We do shows different, like game day, okay? But for ESPN Radio, I'm going to check off another state at the end of this month. Ohio. I've never been to Ohio. I'm going at the end of this month.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm going for Texas, Ohio State.
I'm at 49.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I try and guess the one? Can I try and guess the one?
You should be able to.
I should be able to.
Yes.
It's like a dead giveaway.
It's a dead giveaway. There is no particular way I'll ever get to 50 other than by saying, all right, I'm just doing it to get to 50.
Alaska?
Alaska?
I don't know.
Alaska's the greatest state ever.
I would have figured you'd been to the ones
do a
that
trip?
Okay,
that's like saying, oh, Hawaii.
All right, let me try. Well,
that's a terrible guess.
Montana.
Beautiful during the summer.
Okay, you're gonna say that with every state?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to say it about North Dakota.
I was going to guess
How
South
do I
Dakota.
get to North? Well, no, you got Mount Rushmore.
Oh, okay.
How great is Mount Rushmore?
So is there nothing in North Dakota?
Not much, except if you want to like see the sign that says Fargo.
Oh, you gotta go if that's the only one.
It's the last one.
Yeah, you gotta go.
But it's not near any. Like it literally has to be.
Just go walk around for a day and then leave.
You have to have. So the way I count a state is there has to be an exchange. It can't be an airport.
No, can't be an
there
airport.
has to be some sort of transaction.
It can't even be like if you're
airport.
on the train that goes through the state.
No,
that doesn't count either.
Unless the train stops, you get,
and you
off the train
right.
and go to a
do
store
something.
and buy something.
Yes, totally with. These are good rules. I'm with you. Yes, you just got to go to North Dakota one day, walk around, have lunch somewhere, and then come home.
That's a long way to go.
I know, but you got to get to 50.
Maybe I'll drive. I was thinking about doing a bike ride across country, except any cross country route does not include North Dakota.
No one wants to go there.
Nothing includes North Dakota, and I don't try to.
And concerts don't come to North Dakota. Where it's like, all right, I'm gonna go see so and so.
Which
play
I've
there.
done. I've gotten states because you go see a concert in that state.
Of course.
But no one goes.
Nah.
And I try not to offend anyone in our national audience. And I do have word that we've got 0.001% audience
Say whatever you
in
want.
North Dakota. So I can say anything.
Yeah.
Not hurting anybody.
No one cares about North Dakota.
Have you ever been to Edmonton?
No. I've been
How
to
could you not
I've been to a
have
bunch of
gone?
places in Canada. My family's from Montreal, so I've been to a bunch of places there, but I've never been to Edmonton.
Vous parlez français? I never knew
No,
that.
my parents do, though.
Did they speak French to you?
When I was younger.
And you never learned it?
No, they wanted me to learn it. So in our house, like I lived in Montreal for a very short period of time when I was a baby, so I had a French au pair and everything. They wanted
What
me.
year?
Oh man, like 81 to 83.
Okay, I wasn't there yet.
So I had like a French au pair. They wanted me to learn French, because I was a baby. But then we moved here when I was like 2.5.
It's not an au pair if it's just someone who lives in Montreal, right? It's just a babysitter.
Yeah, I guess.
Isn't it au pair?
I think they called it an au pair though. So yeah, but no more French.
How could you not go to Edmonton and watch the Panthers? You had 2 chances.
So far, it's like the furthest plane ride.
But you're a Panthers guy.
Yeah, but also I don't have a money tree in my backyard, David. Okay, it's very expensive to go to Edmonton, so I go to the games here.
You know that there are people who travel who have no money, and you can travel around the world. You can travel around the world for very little money. You can find great deals. You can fly out of your way and then drive a couple hours. Why don't you speak to some of the newscasters here who were on a tight budget and had to take 2 connections, Roy, and then had to drive a couple hours, Will? This is common.
But guess what? All those news members that you just mentioned there, how did they get into the game? Credential. Tickets aren't free. You know what those tickets are in Edmonton just to get in the building? And I'm not going to go by myself. I want to watch these historic moments with my boys. So it's not even just one son. It'd be 2 sons I got to take. It's too expensive. I have to watch with my family. Like my father comes over for Game 7, or this past year, Game 6, or Clinton. We have 3 generations of Zaslows, David, that are all watching win the Stanley Cup together.
So you won't do anything alone with the son. It has to be both.
Not when it comes to something.
I thought you took one to Jersey.
Right, but not when it comes to something that's going to bring the entire family joy. You know, some that, like my older son, he's kind of grown out of the wrestling, so he doesn't need to come with me and my younger one. I have not grown out of it yet. But like the Stanley Cup, that's something that a family enjoys together. It's something we're going to remember the rest of our lives. So, no, I won't go to I won't go to championship games by myself. Got to go with my boys.
On the couch eating Cheetos.
Yeah, maybe Funyuns. Will depend what kind of mood we're in. Yes, on the couch.
You could have knocked Edmonton off the list of places you've been.
It's really far, David. Edmonton's Midwest.
The world
really
is
far.
big.
I understand. For the first time in my life, we're going to Europe in 2 months. Family trip. Yep.
Where in Europe?
We're spending 4 days in London, 3 days in Paris.
Can I give you a word of advice
Yeah.
on London?
Yeah.
And write it down, please, for me.
Yeah.
Look right.
Okay.
Do you know how important that is? Do you know what that means?
Is that because, like, the side of the road they drive on?
They drive on the other side.
Yeah.
And when you step off a curb, you always would look left.
Right here, we always
that's
look
what we
left.
do.
Sure, yeah.
If you look
left,
left,
right, left.
If you do that in London, you'll get run over by a bus.
That's really good
You
advice,
have to go
actually.
right, left, right.
That's
like you
really
have
good
to
advice.
hold on to your kids because they'll run them down.
And so the bikes are also coming from the right side, too.
Everything's coming from the right side.
Okay.
The double-decker buses, the space between the double-decker bus and where you're standing on the sidewalk will be about an inch.
Okay.
And if you just step off the
good
curb
advice.
and look left, and it happens to Americans every year, you will die.
Okay,
And
no.
I don't want you to die.
I don't want to die either. No, that's really good advice. Yes, you go right, left, right.
So, you believe me, you're going to remember this
I am.
moment.
Yeah.
And you're going to think of me.
Like David Samson may have played a role in saving our life. Yes.
It's a fun trip.
Yes.
There's a lot to do in London
Yeah, we're excited.
and Paris. Make sure you go to some museums. Do
We will.
some culture.
My wife's got the whole trip planned out. She's one of those where you got a whole itinerary for every single day.
Buy
already.
tickets in advance for Mona Lisa. You in the Louvre, you can get the Louvre. You can get an entry time.
Okay.
You don't want to just show up and stand online like some schlepper.
No. We don't
You
want to do
get
that.
advanced tickets.
Okay.
All the great places in London, you can also, that you're not just walking by like Parliament or Big
Right.
Ben. If you're going into a place,
I know we're doing one of those all-day bus on, bus off tours.
Great.
We have tickets to a Broadway show one night as well.
the West End,
What's that?
that's in London.
Okay.
Broadway's New York.
Okay. Yeah, that's. But
So you'll know that.
Yeah.
The kids are going to learn all this.
Yes, that's right.
I'm so happy for you.
Thanks.
You're going to get to speak French.
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you'll have to.
We'll see.
Okay, the next thing I want to cover, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
because we have plenty of time.
Yeah.
What was your view of the NCAA expanding the tournament?
Oh, it's not necessary. Like, what are we talking about here?
Men's basketball, why not have more games?
Well, more games is fine. You know, you got the gambling and all that. More games.
There's
for me to
68.
watch.
Why not have
That's
76?
fine. But the part that I don't like is, well, it's not as if it feels like part of the reason they're doing it. Yes, the main reason is probably for money. Okay, it's most definitely for money. But part of it's like, this way, this team doesn't get left out. This team doesn't get left out. It's like, if you can't make the NCAA tournament when they have 68 teams, you don't deserve to be in the tournament, all right? So I don't want to hear about expanding it to 8 more teams, 76 teams, whatever it is. Like, if you're a team that was on if you're a bubble team, all right, and you missed the tournament, you weren't going to win this tournament anyway if you were a bubble team. So I don't like the idea of we have to expand it because teams are being left out that shouldn't be left out. It's the same thing with the football, where obviously the Hurricanes got left out this year. If you're the 13th team or the 14th team, so you got left out of the 12-team playoff, you don't deserve to be in the postseason. They're allowing 12 teams in, all right? Be in the top 12, and then you get to play in the playoffs.
So do you want to contract the tournament?
No, I'm just, well, I never would have expanded from the 64. Like, you think watching on the Tuesday and Wednesday night, the play-in games? Like, who cares? I never actually sit down and watch those games. I would have kept it at 64. I'm good with it. The NCAA tournament is one of the closest things to perfect we have in sports. So if you want to add teams, fine. I don't feel strongly about it. I don't think you need to add teams.
The reason why I do feel strongly about it is that the bubble will happen at any number.
Yes.
So there's no difference except for the fact that you're doing more business. And if you can have more excitement on more campuses, you can have a broadcast network. And they've been pretty funny about this at the NCAA. You know, Dan Gavitt, who you may remember Don Gavitt.
Who's that?
I think Dan has to be the son, the vice president. Coca, is Dan Gavitt Don's son? Is there any chance that's possible? How could it not be? Do you remember that name? Charlie Baker, all these guys who are telling you, hey, we're not doing it right now, but it could be for next season. And I'm going to have an official wait to see on our program, which is right now, that the NCAA men's basketball tournament is going to expand.
Yeah, like I said, I don't feel strongly about it. It's not as if they're going to expand it to 76. Like, oh, my God, you ruined it. No, it doesn't ruin anything.
But there'll be bubble teams who are ranked
no
77.
matter what. Same thing with the football. They're going to eventually expand to 16. All right, and then we're going to complain about who's 17 and 18 and got left out. Like, there's always going to be bubble teams. There's always going to be complaining about who gets left out.
And so for me, if there is that, then why wouldn't you do the most you can? Think about your own show. Would you stop doing things to expand your audience and make more money?
No.
Why would you ever stop?
No.
You would stop if doing extra time or extra days, and you're already daily, but if you could do an extra hour or an extra 2 hours and you got paid incrementally to do that, you would only stop when you lost capacity, when the quality of what you were doing would be diminished so much that you'd stop getting paid.
Right.
The NCAA is not in that position.
Right.
They can go to 78, and you're right. The 78 seed probably will never win a tournament. They may once in a while win a game if it's a 1v20 or if they're buys, however they're going to do it. But whatever they do.
Yeah, I wonder how they would do it. Would it be buys, I suppose? Because it's a
or
really
more play-in
uneven
games?
Yeah, probably. Because you get 16, 16, 16, 16. Like, that's easy, those 64. So maybe it would be more of the play-in games early in the week.
Which is fine because those are being sold.
Mm-hmm.
And teams who are in a playing game, they get to say, hey, now, do they...
They count it as a tournament win, if that's what you're wondering.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
Do they count?
They shouldn't, but they do.
But NBA play-in tournament is not a playoff win.
No.
Coca, isn't that... Help me here.
Probably because in the NBA, you win a playoff series. And the NCAA tournament's not a series, it's just a game. So maybe that's the difference there.
I was just realizing that all the play-ins, because it's the 7, 8, 9, 10 seed in the NBA.
Yeah.
And there's only 8 seeds in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So the losers of the play-in tournament are considered not playoff teams.
Not playoff teams.
Because they go to the
lottery teams.
They go to the lottery.
Yep.
But in the NCAA, when you say what your streak is of NCAA tournament appearances.
No, you're in the tournament if you're one of the play-in games in the NCAA.
So why do we call it a play-in? That's mislabeled.
It's good. Yeah, it's good.
You're in the tournament.
Heck, there was that one year where they were calling the playing games the first round. Do you remember that? And the reaction was so strongly opposed to that. It's like, first round? The first round starts on Thursday. What are you talking about? And then they changed it the next year where they called it the first four. That's what it's called now.
So the first four then, so it is not a play-in. It's actually now acknowledged.
Yeah.
So now we're just going to make it the first 12?
Yeah, like those teams that are, usually it's like either a 16 that plays on Tuesday or it's a 12 that plays Tuesday, Wednesday. They now call it, like they give them their first ever tournament win when it happens. They're even, it's like, all right, you played another 16 seed. It's not real, but they count it.
It feels real.
It feels real for those who win. Feels real for them. Yep.
I'm in favor of it because I love what the NCAA is doing. They're saying that we're going to continue conversations. We're going to recommend whether we recommend to expand to 72 or 76 teams, and we're going to do it in advance of the 2027 championship. And by giving that timing, that's why I did the wait to see, because I'd like to win wait to sees, because we always revisit them on davidsamsonpodcast.com. And so when I say wait to see that the tournament will expand, because the quote, it gave it away. Mm-hmm. Why would they say that, yeah, we're going to have this conversation and we're going to do it in advance of the 2027 championships?
What's the longest wait to see? What's the longest you've had to wait to see?
I still have, I believe Coco will tell you, and it's in the document on the website, and I just haven't looked. It's separated by year. So you can actually go on davidsamsonpodcast.com.
Oh, nice.
There's a tracking document that has every pick of the day I've done, every word of the day, every movie I've ever reviewed, and every wait to see. And when a wait to see is finished, I put either a yes or a no, and then talk about it on the air and revisit it. I believe there's some open from 2019.
Okay.
That I've not been able to close because, A, I couldn't get the information. Sometimes with lawsuits, like this lawsuit will never go anywhere.
Oh, so maybe it's happened, but you just don't have the results.
So that's one way. Like there was one, I have a way to see about how much money The Rock invested in that football league when he became, do you remember when he became the face?
Right, so that happened, you just don't have the number.
I'm not exactly sure yet. Or when a strange lawsuit happens and I'll say, oh, that's going to be settled, and then you never hear a word about it again.
But are there others out there that legitimately have not happened yet that you are waiting to see?
Luka will win a title before Trae Young.
Okay.
I did that years ago.
Yeah.
And neither one's won a title. So
That's
I
a good one.
can't close the wait to see.
That's an outstanding wait to see.
And I still believe that Luka will win a title before Trae Young, but Trae Young could get traded somewhere.
Right.
And Luka did.
Right.
So now, do I think he's closer with the Lakers than he was with the Mavericks? I don't know. He lost in the finals with the Mavericks. I thought I had it. And now he's with the Lakers.
3 wins away. I mean, when's the next time he's going to be 3 wins away with the Lakers? I don't see it anytime soon.
Not in the next few years.
Yeah.
But he's young. Mm-hmm. I like that way to see, but it's been going on.
He looks good, too. Looks very slim, Luka. He's sticking it to the Mavericks.
I want to oil up our bodies and see if we can look that way.
I got ways to go. Yeah.
I appreciate you. This is Jonathan Zaslow. You should be listening to him. ESPN Radio, Zaslow Show 2.0, doing the Le Batard Show in, wait for it, 41 minutes.
Yes.
He will be live with me doing the Le Batard Show. Go to the pre-production meeting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I will be there shortly, but we still have show to do.
I had a great time. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Zaz. That's fun, being able to talk with Le Batard personalities while we're here, having them step out and now go into a meeting to figure out what's next to talk about. Because you don't want to get put into a position ever where you're not prepared, where you say something that turns out wrong. It happens to all of us. We have microphones. We do a lot of shows. It's the reason we have corrections. It even happens to the President of the United States. And for that, I'm good with it, but I want to mention it. When you're the president, you're given your talking points. Now, sometimes you listen to them, sometimes you don't. But you've got them. You even have the words you're supposed to say put into a prompter. And in theory, you can read from the prompter, which you're supposed to do. Sometimes you get lost. Sometimes you go off script, which you should never do unless you are young and able. We talked a little bit yesterday on one of the shows, Coke, I don't remember which, about the President's Council on Physical Fitness. I think it may have been on Le Batard, not on Nothing Personal. This is where he had a press conference with Lawrence Taylor and a bunch of people who you think may be Republican, they may be Trump supporters, they may not be. They mostly are. I am very in favor of physical fitness, obviously. It's the absolute right thing. But then, if you're going to mention names of athletes, you better get it right. And I don't mean the pronunciation, because I get those wrong plenty of times. I'm saying when you mention people who are on that council, they ought to be on the council. It came out yesterday that Saquon Barkley is actually not on this council. He's at training camp trying to defend a Super Bowl title as the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. And he had to come out yesterday and say, sorry, that's pretty shocking that my name was mentioned because I'm not on it. Not that I'm against kids and physical fitness, but I am not in any way a part of it. And it got me thinking. When you get invited to serve on a council at the president's pleasure, no matter what you think about that president, how do you say no to that? Are we in a world that's so divisive that now just by being associated with Trump, the way Saquon was when he played golf with Trump, that he had to come out, and I know Saquon, he's look at me, David, one of the nicest, best people you'll ever meet in sports. Ever. Forget his talent. Explain to me why when you play golf with a president of the United States, you have to come out and say, oh, I also played with Obama. in order to appease people on both sides of the aisle so you don't upset your fans. Explain to me why, when you're doing a show for 2 hours a day, you're told by people who say they know more than you do, don't you ever talk politics. 50% of your audience will walk right out the door. Why? Because you don't like what I'm saying? This is nothing personal. You've had a chance to disagree with me for 5 years. I love that you disagree with me. I don't run from it. I don't hide from it. I need it. That is how conversation happens. Not with anger and vitriol, but with actual intellectual discord and disagreement. But does it mean you don't tune in? The numbers would indicate you are tuning in. I think the numbers are pretty clear that we need a healthier country. And I would have advised Saquon to do it. And I would advise Saquon to say, I would have served at the pleasure of a president no matter his or her political views, because there is no politicizing obesity. There's no politicizing the fact that our country is full of overweight, out-of-shape children and adults. There is no politicizing that, well, I'm not body shaming anyone. But have you been to Disney World recently? And I say that with full knowledge that there's some amazing looking and in shape people at Disney World. I think Saquon would have been better served by accepting his role in the council and then saying to himself, by the way, this was not related to who asked me, it was related to the subject. And if all of us did that, where we didn't stand on the principle of the asker, but we stood on the foundation of the subject that's being addressed, I think we'd all be in way better shape. Which is not to say, by any stretch, that I am in any way in favor of misleading or lying or anything that politicians do on both sides of the aisle in order to gain votes, in order to gain your support, in order to try to gain you to agree, make you agree with their view of an issue. Something happened yesterday or 2 days ago that I'm not giving up on, Coca. President Trump, just a few days ago, called for the firing of the head of an agency that produces the monthly jobs figures. Because there was a report, you see, much like Trading Places, where you get a report on whether or not the weather has impacted oranges for the futures. If you know, you know. Go watch Trading Places. Or pork. A jobs report, there is some correlation between people having jobs and the health of your economy. I will not go into an economics lesson, 101 or 202, or even 303. I won't go macro, I won't go micro. But what I will say is, if you think about it, it should make perfect sense. The more you work, the more money you have, and the more money you have, the more disposable income you have. The more disposable income you have, the more you will spend on things that aren't food and shelter and the things that you need to live. Therefore, those who produce things that are really only eligible for those with disposable income, you will do better. Therefore, the economy does better. Therefore, there's more people working in every way. Jobs matter. Which is why no matter what side of the aisle you're on, it is a big focus of every presidential campaign. And we're talking, let's not even go to the New Deal. We can go back. We can go back to the beginning of presidents and debates and political parties working. Now, people in Europe, where Zaz is going to go with his family, may say, we like our siestas. People in America may say, we don't siesta, we work, and then we croak. We could argue right now which is better, what makes more sense. A little laissez-faire, that's for you, Zaz, a little French, or just nose to the grindstone, pumping out work every day. The reality is that the jobs report is a function of the reality of who's doing what, when, and where. But Trump didn't like the result, so his view is, let's fire the messenger. It is one of the most unoriginal points of view, and as a former president of a sports team, I love it. I'm firing managers, general managers. That's the same as firing the messenger. You don't like how your sales are going? Fire your sales guy. Hey, I don't like how my branding is going? Fire your marketing guy. I don't like how the jobs report is. I don't like the creation of jobs. Fire your jobs person. I get that. I've done that. This one, though, was slightly different. This one, and he posted this on social media, saying that the figures were manipulated for political reasons and said that this person, the director of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, was appointed by Joe Biden, therefore should be fired. Quote, I've directed my team to fire this Biden political appointee immediately. She will be replaced with someone much more competent and qualified. And will never announce, this is now me, I don't want to put words in the president's mouth, but we will now make it sure that we never announce jobs that are down. As a matter of fact, Coca, I could do one of the best wait to sees of all time and tell you the next jobs report will definitionally be up and we won't have a clue which means. We can't even trust what's coming out, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm totally despondent. Can we not trust what's being said by team presidents? By owners? By players? Oh no. What if we can't trust what's being said by politicians? That's called a Tuesday. But to come out and say that you're going to fire the head of this, it got me, Coca. It just did. What better way to move forward than to fire the messenger? You're welcome, President Trump. I started that. Nah, I can't even say that. I continued that. We've been firing messengers in sports since the beginning of time. I can't stand as a Milwaukeean. I love Milwaukee. The audience knows that. I love Milwaukee. I don't want to talk about Giannis not being in Milwaukee anymore. I can't do it. I simply can't do it. I don't think it's right that we have to worry every day whether Giannis wants to be a Milwaukee Buck. And I've got a deal with NBA insiders like Shams, who come out with reports saying, you thought that he wanted to be a Buck. We don't know yet. We have to wait every day. Must be nice to wake up next to your boyfriend or girlfriend every day. How we doing? We good? Anyone else do that? How about next to your child? Well, you don't wake up next to your child, but you wake up and you see your child and you say, still my child? Are you still my mother? When you've got a player under contract, are you still on my team? Sports has completely changed. The Cowboy fans can't wake up and say, oh, Micah, good morning. You're a Cowboy. Micah doesn't want to be a Cowboy. I don't want to wake up and have to ask Giannis every day or read a report by Shams that says there's nothing set in stone about whether or not Giannis stays in Milwaukee or whether he wants to leave and go elsewhere. He's been evaluating his future this entire offseason. Giannis, what does that mean? You either want to be in Milwaukee or you're not. You signed a contract. Now, I agree that there's contracts that you sign that you can get out of, like a marital contract. I get it. I believe there's other contracts that you can sign that have termination clauses. They have outs in their contract. Absolutely. I get it. There are times when the court will tell you that they are enforcing a contract and not giving you money damages. They're giving you something called specific performance. They're making you do the thing that you said you would do. Because if you don't, it has such a deleterious impact on the other side's business or life that there is no amount of money that can compensate that person. I'm here to say that that's where we are with the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis. There ought to be a ruling that Giannis has to do specific performance and play out his contract in Milwaukee. Period. He's the one who signed it. Again, there are people who sign contracts every day, and they want to get out of those contracts. There's people who are working in companies, and they've got a deal, and they're looking at other companies. They're looking at competitors. They're saying, do I want to leave? Do I want to go to ESPN? Do I want to stay? How does this work? Do I want to work with some of the competitors to Dan? Everybody's doing that. I'm good with it. Where I stop being good with it is when you take the company or the team for a ride. You want to know why I like the transfer portal opening and closing? You want to know why I like deadlines for free agency or trades? Because then you can't spend every day of every year talking about, is this guy going to be traded? Is he not going to be traded? There are windows of calm, windows of peace. What's the calmness for me as a Giannis fan and a Bucks fan? Is it when training camp starts? No, they're still going to talk to him about it every day. What about when the season starts? No, because he still could announce he wants to leave and get traded before the NBA trade deadline. Is it post-NBA trade deadline? They give you like 3 days, and then they start again. I'm not exactly sure how to solve it. Yes, I am. That's my job, is to give you solutions. Here it is. Guaranteed contracts in sports should be completely one-sided. And you're going to say, wait a minute, that is completely unbelievable, David. So typical of you. You are pro-owner. It makes me sick. I'm going to go hang up and listen to Dominique Foxworth and find someone who's only pro-player. Stadium, fine. No, not true. Dominique is measured, and so am I. When we sign a player to a contract, we are promising to pay him his money through hell or high water. It's a guaranteed contract. You get hurt, you're Joel Embiid, and your knee is never going to be the same, and you're likely finished. Guess what? We were dumb enough to sign you to an extension, Philadelphia. Way to go. We're going to pay you. There's nothing we can do. When you do a contract and a renegotiation and you get the maximum extension from the team, you should be forced to stay with that team and not pull this stuff. And this doesn't just go for Giannis. I don't quite understand why we deal with this in football, why we deal with it in basketball. You don't hear it in baseball. Very, very rarely. And it very rarely, if you're not Derek Jeter, incapably running a team, when Yelich says, please trade me. Okay, you don't want to be here, fine, I'll trade you. And that's how he becomes a Brewer. Thank God. Love you, man. What's the reality? The NFL, it's every single day. It's a new player, new holdout, a new I want to trade. In the NBA, it's a new manipulation of player empowerment. And I'm not complaining about player empowerment, but the empowerment is supposed to manifest itself through money. We're not talking about equity. We're not talking about control. We're talking about contractual obligated income. When you sign a contract with a team, that is contractually obligated income that the team has to you, and you can go to a bank, you can go to your estate planner, you can do anything you want. You're getting that money. Now, I could argue if a team goes bankrupt, you have to get in line to get it. That is true, but you can bet your sweet bippy that a team will not go bankrupt, and a league, if one team does, a league will not allow that team to default on its guaranteed money to its players. I promise you. When the Orioles owner went bankrupt in the 90s, when the Rangers owner went bankrupt, Tom Hicks, there was never a question, would players get paid? No matter what happens in Milwaukee, and they've got very wealthy owners, but no matter what happens, Giannis is getting paid. And if that's the case, then that's where you are. It was your choice. It's not like the draft where you don't get a choice. In free agency, you get a choice. Did you agree in your CBA that it would be way more profitable to you when you re-sign with your own team? Yes, we like that, and you agreed to it. And you did it, got paid, and now I've got to run this back and forth? I'm not doing it, Giannis. We talked earlier today on the show. I don't remember what hour. I assume it would have been the first hour about the Yankees. This is nothing personal. We're 2 hours a day now. Thank you for downloading, for rating, for reviewing, for subscribing. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching this, and hit subscribe on YouTube. Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel. If you're watching the clip anyway or the full show, just hit subscribe. If you want to watch the full show, 7 a.m. live, 5 days a week, Eastern, Coca, chat room. Enjoy it. Or watch clips or watch it later on the DraftKings Network, whatever you do. 2 hours every day. The first hour, we talked about the Yankees, the trade deadline, what they did. When we trade for a player, we've got several things in our head. One, obviously, is performance. The other is injury. We do not want a player we acquired getting hurt because it's embarrassing and it really bothers us. Did you see what happened with Chicago Cubs, who were trying to chase down the Brewers. They got a starter named Michael Soroka. He's fine. He's 28 years old. He is not a number one starter. He's not a number two starter. They got him from the Nationals last week at the deadline. And they got him for 2 prospects. It was a very simple trade. He comes out, first appearance as a Cub. First game. Immediate shoulder discomfort. Finished. Injured list and shoulder discomfort in August. That's it. They won't announce it this way, but we had a deadline. We had sort of a calendar in our team, running our team. If you get any sort of, as a pitcher, any elbow soreness, flexor strains, not like a player, not like Aaron Judge, who apparently may come back today, Coca, as designated hitter. But when a pitcher has that, or shoulder impingements or implications or soreness, and you're in August, 9 times out of 10, you're done for the year. We're not going to announce it as that yet. You're only going to announce an injured list appearance. But the reality is they traded for a player who now won't perform. We would rather trade for a player who has a bad start the way the Yankees pitchers have and still have the ability to run them out there. We would much rather do that than trade for someone who's hurt. Because now I got to go through and, as president of the team, do an entire investigation that I don't want to do. I don't have the time, the energy, the inclination. But now I got to speak to my GM. I got to speak to the AGM. I got to speak to the other team's president. I have to look at medical records because what I'm trying to figure out is, wait a minute, did he disclose that he was hurt? Did he come here hurt? Wait a minute, did the other team not tell me the truth about a player? Is the other team, the Nationals, keeping multiple medical records the way the Padres did? Wait a minute, did he not say one word and walk into the training room? I want access to every training room report there is. Do I see his name? Wait a minute, did my scouts not tell me about the dip in velocity that he was suffering for the month before he was traded? Why would I even spend this much time on Michael Soroka? Ridiculous, except for the fact that it triggered what has to happen when you make a trade and the myriad ways that it goes wrong. He got an MRI before he got traded. It was clean. When you hear that from another team's medical staff, you get a picture of the MRI when you're making a trade, you show it to your medical staff, and I promise you that same MRI is as dirty as the water at the bottom of a sewer pile. There is no pitcher who has a clean MRI. It does not exist. There's more stuff going on in the elbow and shoulder for major league pitchers than you could imagine. If you looked at an MRI, you'd say, my God, that looks terrible. That guy will never pitch again. And then you see, well, wait a minute, they've been pitching with that MRI for 4 years. All right, we're good. You just don't use the word clean. You say it's standard wear and tear. That's what you say with the pitcher's MRI. But when you're making a trade for a player and you've seen the MRI, but you do still see standard wear and tear, but a dip in velocity, that means something's going on that the MRI may not be telling you yet. You go in with your eyes wide open, and when you make a trade and you tell the owner, let's take on this $800,000, this $5 million, this $10 million, because we believe in this pitcher. And then day one, game one, hurt. You have no choice but basically to look in the eyes of your owner and say, we got that one wrong. Now, Cashman's not doing that to Steinbrenner for the pitchers who have been giving it up since they got traded for. No way. We didn't do it when we acquired a player and they had a bad first few games. No, that's standard. That's baseball. That's stats. That's playing every day. I'm not worried in any regard. But when a guy goes to the injured list, you got to knock on the door and say, oh, sorry. It's just business. We screwed that up. We'll be back tomorrow. This is nothing personal.